People love to give advice they themselves never followed. And the worst advice I hear from elderly people, usually repeated for self-comfort, sounds like this: keep saving after 65. It's the responsible thing to do. Responsible? No, it's self-deception. If you're over 65 and still obsessed with the idea of saving more, you don't need more money, you need a better mindset. Let me be brutally honest, as I always prefer. After 65, the rules of the game change. Most people are too stubborn or too scared to admit it. They cling to old habits like their old furniture. Uncomfortable, outdated, but familiar. So they keep saving money as if they still have 40 years of life ahead. But they don't. Pretending otherwise is one of the stupidest forms of self-deception I've observed in my life, watching people ruin a perfectly good retirement for themselves. Saving is a wonderful habit until it becomes a cage you built for yourself. Most people don't understand this because they confuse two completely different things: saving for security and saving out of fear. The first, by age 65, should already be done. The second is simply cowardice disguised as prudence. I saw people in the 1980s who worked their whole lives, retired with a sufficient sum, but then acted as if they were one missed paycheck away from starvation. They ate the cheapest food, denied themselves the slightest pleasures. They became the accountants of their own misery. They died with money they never used, and the IRS enjoyed it for them. If you think that's responsible, you are not rational, you are absurd. The goal of saving is to stop saving. Let me tell you something simple that you won't like. The ultimate goal of saving is to stop saving. The goal is to start living. Your money was meant to give you freedom, not to turn you into a frightened bookkeeper counting every penny until you die. And yes, I already hear the objection from the usual chorus of panic mongers. What if I live to 100? What if something terrible happens? What if the market crashes? What if medical bills skyrocket? What if my children need help? Here is my counter question. What if you spend the last healthy years of your life imagining problems that may never happen? Fear is the most expensive luxury in the world. It costs you decades of joy. I've lived long enough, much longer than I expected, to see how absurd people can be with their own lives. At 65, you are no longer trying to build an empire. You are trying not to turn your final years into a spreadsheet. Aggressive saving in your 20s is wonderful. In your 30s, it's sensible. In your 40s, it's strategic. In your 50s, it's necessary. After 65, you should be reaping, not sowing. No one plants seeds in late autumn except people who panic at winter and forget how nature works. Habit without thought is slavery. A decade ago, a man asked me if he should continue saving 10% of his income after retirement. I asked him a simpler question. Do you want to die rich or live better? He froze because he realized he had never questioned that habit. He just obeyed it. Habit is useful, but habit without thought is slavery. You no longer need to behave like a frightened beginning investor. You've earned the right to use the assets you've been building for half a century. Now, let me clarify something before you distort my words. I am not telling you to spend money like an idiot. Being old is no reason to become stupid. But there is a difference between using money wisely and hoarding it like a medieval farmer afraid of the next plague. The longest and happiest later years are lived by those who understand a simple formula. Use your money to reduce friction. Friction in your health, friction in your comfort, friction in your daily life. Save less, worry less, live more mindfully. At 65, you should be trying to eliminate stress, not create new forms of it through financial paranoia. Look at it this way. If you spent 40 years climbing a mountain, why on earth would you sit at the top guarding a bag of rocks instead of enjoying the view? The mountain doesn't care. Your children will survive without an extra $50,000. And the world certainly won't reward you for dying with a larger bank account. The arithmetic of old age, the diminishing value of money. Life has an expiration date. And the tragedy is not that people die, it's that they stop living long before they die. Saving after 65% can be wise, but blind, compulsive, fearful saving is not wisdom. It's inertia. And inertia is one of the deadliest forces in human behavior. You didn't work all those years to become the richest ghost in the graveyard. You work to buy time, comfort, dignity, and maybe even a little fun while you can still enjoy it. If you are over 65, stop pretending you have an infinite number of tomorrows. You don't. And that is precisely why you must stop obeying the same financial habits you had at 25. The world has changed. Your lifespan has changed. Your priorities must change too. Otherwise, you aren't saving money. You are sacrificing life. Let me tell you the harsh truth most people realize too late. Dying with too much money is one of the most expensive mistakes a person can make. Not expensive in dollars, but expensive in life. I've watched rich old people die with portfolios they never touched, pensions they never used, and bank accounts they guarded like a dragon hoarding gold it would never spend. I call this the Fort Knox retirement plan. It looks impressive until you look closer and realize the vault is full, but the owner is gone. The tragedy isn't the money left behind. The tragedy is the years spent protecting it. The real cost of saving for too long is the life you didn't live. And the problem gets worse after 65 because that's when people become afraid to spend. Their fear grows with every year like a metastasizing bad habit. At 70, they worry the money will run out. At 75% about medical bills. At 80% about not being a burden. At 85%, they are too tired to enjoy anything, so they keep saving, as if training for a financial marathon they will never run. The truth is simpler. If you keep saving after 65 without a purpose, you are preparing for a future that no longer belongs to you. Using money after death, living for your heirs. An acquaintance of mine, a very successful man, retired at 67. He had more than enough to live well, but he refused to spend on anything frivolous. His biggest luxury was a new pair of socks every December. When he died at 83, his children inherited a mountain of money. They spent in 2 months more than he had spent in 20 years. They bought cars, went on cruises, renovated kitchens. They did everything he had denied himself. Do you think he would have approved? Probably not, but that's the point. If you don't use your money, someone else will, and they won't follow your rules. This is the part old people never think about. They guard the money for decades, only for their heirs to treat it like a lottery win. You can call it unfair, you can call it a tragedy. I call it reality. Now let's talk about something just as silly. People who keep saving because they confuse thrift with virtue. I've met thousands of thrifty people. Perhaps 5 of them were truly rational. The rest were just scared. Fear of falling, fear of uncertainty, fear of the world changing, fear that their own children would lose the money. They turn fear into a moral code, and the world applauds them for their discipline. Discipline, please. Saving every penny at a stage of life when time is scarcer than money is not discipline. It's a terrible misallocation of the one asset. You can't get back. Let me put this in investment language. You can't misinterpret. If you are 65 or older, every dollar you save has a diminishing return. Every year you delay spending multiplies the opportunity cost. The younger you are, the more valuable your money. The older you are, the more valuable your time. This isn't philosophy, it's arithmetic. $1 at 30 gives you a decade of compound interest. $1 at 70 gives you one more line on a broker's statement you can barely read without bifocals. And yet people cling to these late life dollars as if they were sacred relics, the narrowing window of opportunity. Now let's talk about health, the main spoiler of late life thrift. By the time you hit 70, the number of things you can still enjoy begins to shrink like a wool sweater in the dryer. Food isn't the same. Travel becomes harder. Energy fades. The mind slows down. The body complains. So what are you saving for? You won't be conquering mountains. You won't be backpacking across Europe. You won't take up skydiving. You won't develop a taste for fine wine if your medications forbid alcohol. The window narrows with every year, and most people spend this narrowing window clenching their fists around their wallets. They are like the guy who buys a sports car at 85. By the time he figures out the GPS, he's too weak to press the gas pedal. Here is the sensible approach. You should start converting your money into comfort before comfort becomes impossible. Use it to remove pain. Use it to make life easier. Use it to buy time. Use it to enjoy whatever you can while you still can, because this is the truth people miss. The value of money depends on the condition of the person holding it. $1 million in the hands of a healthy 60-year-old is freedom. $1 million in the hands of a 90-year-old is paperwork. Most people save as if they will always be the 60-year-old version of themselves. But biology doesn't care about your saving habits. Rational allocation, not accumulation. In 2005, I told someone, the biggest risk in retirement isn't running out of money. It's running out of life before you use the money. People laughed. They always laugh at the truth. Here's another unpleasant fact. The older you get, the more money you need to maintain the same level of enjoyment. Travel becomes more expensive because you need comfort. Food becomes more expensive because you need health. Life becomes more expensive because you need support. And yet people cut expenses precisely when their quality of life needs greater investment, not less. This isn't wisdom. This is madness dressed up as prudence. If you are 65 or older, your task is not to accumulate. Your task is to allocate. Consciously, wisely, without fear. If you die with too much money, you have failed. You misunderstood the game. The goal wasn't to leave the biggest pile. The goal was to use your pile to live the best life you are capable of with clarity, dignity, and minimal stupidity. And that requires one uncomfortable shift. Stop saving by habit and start spending by reason. The preservation instinct as a trap. If you want to understand why people keep saving when it has stopped making sense, you must understand one dangerous instinct. The preservation instinct, not the life instinct. It's a perfectly natural instinct. It helped our ancestors survive when winter meant starvation, and predators weren't metaphors but real animals trying to eat them. But instincts don't retire just because you do. They keep working long after their usefulness has expired. And after 65, preservation becomes a trap. You stop thinking like a human and start thinking like a squirrel in October, hoarding nuts as if preparing for 10 more winters. Only at your age, there probably aren't 10 winters left to prepare for. I've noticed, working with Buffett and navigating markets, that most bad financial decisions are emotional decisions that people mistake for rationality. And the biggest emotional mistake in old age is, I must keep building a safety net just in case. Just in case of what? Armageddon? A nuclear winter? Your 80-year-old self suddenly deciding to buy a startup? People don't ask this question because fear feels justified. But fear is a lousy accountant. It exaggerates liabilities and ignores the biggest cost of all, your remaining time. A practical question. I love asking people one practical question. What specifically are you saving for? Most retirees can't answer. Or if they do, the answer is vague and useless. For emergencies, just in case, to be safe, for the future. What future? The next 20 years? The next 2? Your savings aren't meant to last forever. They are meant to last as long as you are, and that time horizon is not infinite. Let me give you a perspective most people avoid because it forces them to face reality. If you are 65, statistically you have maybe 15, 20 good years left. If you are 75, you have 10. If you are 85, you are planning in single digits. You don't need a 25-year plan. You need a rational plan. And rationality after 65 boils down to one thing, optimizing for quality, not quantity. Young people try to maximize the years ahead. Older people should maximize the life in those years, legacy and burden. Here's another instinct that becomes fatal after 65, the instinct to leave a legacy. People get sentimental. They want to bless the next generation. They want to leave something behind. Let me be blunt. If you sacrifice your happiness in late life to make your children slightly richer, you are a fool. Your children don't need a bigger inheritance. They need a parent who lived wisely, because wisdom is the only inheritance that multiplies across generations. I've seen children ruin themselves with too large an inheritance. I've never seen anyone ruin themselves because their 70-year-old father decided to take a vacation instead of adding another $50,000 to the estate. Live your life. Your children will survive, and if they don't, your money wouldn't have saved them anyway. Finally, let's talk about the most dangerous assumption of old accumulators. More money equals more security. For the young, this is mostly true. For the old, it stops being true. Security at 70 isn't financial, it's physical, emotional, medical, social. You can have $1 million and still live miserably because you refuse to spend money on comfort, care, or help. In other words, the greatest insecurity in old age stems not from a lack of money, but from a refusal to use it. Your money isn't meant to protect you from life. It's meant to support you while you live it. And if you don't understand that after 65, no amount of saving will solve the problem, the self-sabotage of thrift. After 65, thrift stops being wisdom and becomes self-sabotage. Thrift is useful when you are young because you have time to convert savings into opportunities. At 20, every dollar has a decade to multiply. After 65, you are no longer buying time, you are spending it. And hoarding money when your time is disappearing is as logical as hoarding oxygen when you are drowning. You are preserving the wrong asset. I've seen retirees clip grocery coupons while sitting on investment portfolios worth over $1 million. I've seen 80-year-olds refuse to buy a comfortable bed because their old one still works, even though it breaks their back every morning. And I've seen 70-year-old widows refuse to take a taxi because the bus is 50 cents cheaper, and then spend the rest of the day exhausted. Here is the truth they don't want to face. Thrift is a strategy for a young person. Comfort is a necessity for an old person. If you are saving pennies at an age when you should be protecting your health, preserving your energy, and reducing stress, you are not thrifty. You are irrational. A comfortable mattress is worth more than the interest on $10,000. A reliable car is worth more than squeezing one more year out of an old one. A decent vacation is infinitely worth more than leaving an extra 5 in the will. Break the habit before it breaks you. Retirement shouldn't be a prison sentence with better decor. You spend 40 or 50 years working, fighting, surviving recessions, bad bosses, market crashes, and your own stupidity. And the moment you finally gain freedom, what do? You chain yourself to a new responsibility, guarding the pile. Retirement should be a liberation, not a watchmanship. But here's the truth. Money at 65 is not fragile. Time at 65 is fragile. And people always protect the wrong thing. Age 65, 70 to 75, your golden retirement years. You can still travel, walk, eat normally, think clearly, and enjoy experiences. These 10 years are your most precious. Age 75 to 85, still manageable. But the body begins to complain. You slow down, your world shrinks a bit. Age 85, you are maintaining, not expanding. Your spending should be on comfort and care, not adventure. If you treat all retirement years the same financially, you are already making a terrible mistake. The dollars you spend between 65 and 75 yield the highest return in life satisfaction. The dollars you save at 85% will be half unused anyway. The final choice. Here's the real question you must ask yourself. Do you want to die proud of how little you spent, or live proud of how wisely you used what you saved? The right answer is obvious, but the obvious isn't easy, because nothing burdens a family more than a person who refused to use their money when they had the chance. If you wake up tomorrow with fewer regrets, less pain, and a little more joy because you wisely spent your money today, you are doing retirement right. If you wake up tomorrow proud that you didn't spend a dollar, you aren't protecting anything for the future. You are just postponing life. At 65 and older, your most important financial skill is spending well, not saving more. Spending to reduce stress, spending to reduce risk, spending to increase the quality of life. Every dollar you spend well after 65 buys you a better life. Every dollar you save out of fear steals from the life you have left. Dying rich is easy, living well is hard. Choose the hard one. It's the only choice that pays dividends when time is running out. You save when you are building, you spend when you are living. And after 65, you are not building, you are living the part you prepared for over decades.